Hi, my name is Guadalupe Garcia, and I started a garden a few years ago. This year is the first year I've actually started in a little bit of a larger scale and doing it sustainably and organically. Some of the new things I've done this year is I've collected rainwater to water my garden. I've started a compost bin to reuse some of the materials from the garden. I've done my gardening in raised beds, and I've also added variety of what I've grown and also variety in the fruits that I've grown, like tomatoes. Come with me and I'll show you. I purchased these raised beds at a Sam's Club. This is one unit here, this piece and this piece. The cost for these raised beds were about $40, which really is a good price if you compare it to having to buy lumber. And the best lumber to get for this area is cedar, because cedar is going to be a hardwood that's going to make it through the winter and through weatherization. So this is the kind, I think it's a plastic composite material that these are made out of. And so we stack them just for aesthetics. And it's actually good. You need at least 6 inches of soil to grow most vegetables. But I wanted to have some a little bit deeper to have more of a option of growing different things. So we have, I think it's 6 units that we bought at $40. In addition, the soil was the next one of the most important components when you're starting a garden, is to get adequate soil, and what you want to buy is compost. And basically what a compost is a combination of reused soil with a lot of vegetable matter. Vegetable matter is very important for the nutrition of plants. So we found this compost worked beautifully for me this summer. I was able to see the difference from previous years where I grew in the soil that was already existing. It has a lot of clay, so sometimes that can be a challenge for the root systems to get through the clay. It's about $15 a cubic yard. We needed 3 cubic yards. I only ended up getting 2 from him on this delivery. As you can see, it's still worked well. I'd like to get the other cubic yard because I do need to top these with compost. It's a good practice at least once a year to top your boxes with compost. And it can be pretty inexpensive. In addition to getting compost from an outside source, all of my plant material that I harvest, in addition to my vegetable scraps, I put it in my own compost that I have in the back. And it's black gold in terms of growing vegetables. So this is all of my vegetable scraps, food scraps from home. You can see I got a ton of tomatillos, and you've got the tomatillos in there. This is a compost bin. There's different methods of compost. This is just a standing compost. It's a standard city unit. And if I can get to the bottom here, I can show you how. So you put all organic matter that you have left over from your kitchen, eggshells, coffee, tea bags, any leftover green vegetable scraps that you don't use, things in your kitchen that are going bad. You put them all in here, and you want to turn it occasionally because you want to get some air in there. You want to do this aerobically. And you have decomposers that are going to break this down. You have pill bugs that are going to break it down, as well as bacteria. And what you get at the end of the day is beautiful dark soil. So if you can see at the bottom of this, you're mimicking nature. This is what happens with nature. Things fall on the bottom of the ground and they decompose. And this is the best stuff you can have for growing your own plants. This is rich in nutrients. You're reusing. This is not ending up in a landfill somewhere. It's all going to decompose. Oh, and you can see this is one of the little guys that's helping. This is a great sign. These are red worms, and what they're doing is they're digesting all of the vegetable matter, and Their waste product is the best thing that you can have for your garden. Seeds are not very expensive. You do want to make sure you can buy them at the store, although I recommend getting them from a source that provides seeds that's been grown in a similar climate to yours, because you know that your plants are gonna are adapted to growing in that climate. Johnny's Seeds is where I get my seeds from. They're about $3 a pack, but you can usually share your seeds with somebody else. You can split them or use them for one additional year once you buy them. The other really important thing with seeds is you can seed save. And I'm going to come over to this sun gold tomato plant. You can see this one is splitting. It's overly ripe. This is perfect right now. Perfectly edible. But what you can do is get a paper towel, a paper napkin rather, and this jellied seeds, you can just spread them right on there, dry them, store them in a cool dark place, and this will be perfectly good for next year. You'll have seeds. In terms of groceries, I can tell you I didn't buy one tomato this entire summer. So tomatoes typically would go for what, maybe 50 cents, $1 a pound, depending on where you shop for them. You have to also consider the benefits of growing your own local food. There's not as much of a carbon footprint on the vegetables you're eating. You know exactly what you're putting in your mouth. All of my practices in growing my vegetables are organic, but I can easily tell you that I've probably been able to grow, I didn't have a huge variety this summer either, but I would say at least 30% of my food bill each week was grown on my own. So I've definitely gotten my investment back in terms of the money that I put into this. Seems like it's quite a bit up front, but I was able to, I had so much produce, I was able to share some of it with my neighbors. I also took a course a little bit later in the season on food preservation, and I've been able to jar right now about 24 jars of salsa. Next year I'm hoping to pickle some of my cucumbers. I didn't do that this year. Pesto is another thing you can preserve. You can make with your basil. Just a little basil, olive oil, garlic, and you get, I think I can safely say I probably made my money maybe 3 times over this first season. So imagine next season I won't need to put as much money into it, and I'm going to continue to get a harvest. My husband and I were able to get a food grade barrel from a gentleman that was selling these for $20. I would say you can get your own rain barrel going for under $30 if you're able to get the rain barrel for $20. Not very expensive. This is trim that we had, again, things we had saved. We repurposed it as a little bit of a barrier to keep it from falling into my herb garden that I have down here. He made a mesh screen for the top to filter out some of the leaves. We have the water spout going down from the roof, collecting some of the rainwater. This is an old container that we fashioned. It's got a cutout piece at the bottom to direct the rainwater right into there. Because of some of the heavy rains we got, we found that there was a lot of overflow, so we just found different ways to manage it. We collect the rainwater, and the one challenge I've had this year is trying to get the water pressure from it. It is a very low water pressure, but it works. You can fill an individual watering system like this and then just go around and water them. 7 beds this size, a weekly investment I would say would be maybe about 5 hours. But you have to keep in mind that nature is very forgiving, mimicking nature. Once you get your plants down, I wasn't able to dedicate 5 hours a week to my garden. I did what I could when I could, and as you can see, it still flourished and did its thing. So if you can put the initial time into putting it in and keep up with it a little bit along the way, you can definitely cut those 5 hours down to a lot less. And on a smaller scale size, you can even cut that time out. So as you can see, it's something that's very doable and manageable for anyone to do.